everyone, and welcome to CreditLady.com. I'm going to go over FICO score versus Vantage score. And this is going to help a lot of people, especially those who are trying to get cars and pre-qualify for homes. And when they get their credit score back from these lending institutions, they're seeing their scores are much lower than what Credit Karma or maybe even Identity IQ has said, because they're using the Vantage score model. So I'm going to go over FICO score versus Vantage score because a lot of creditors are using both, and as an educated consumer, you want to be able to make the best decision for those things that you need and are trying to attain in your life. So the 5 things that we're going to go over and that you need to understand are the scoring model differences, the discrepancies in scoring requirements, why paying on time is so important, the impact of credit inquiries, and also low balance collections and how they may impact your credit profile. So, with scoring model differences, FICO and Vantage score aren't the only scoring models on the market. Lenders use a multitude of scoring methods to determine your credit worthiness and also how you make financial decisions. But despite the numerous options, FICO and Vantage score are likely the only scores you'll ever personally see. So they use the same criteria for scoring, which would be payment history, length of credit, types of credit, your credit usage or utilization, and recent inquiries. So although both FICO and Vantage score will consider much of the same information, they do, however, gather their data in different ways. FICO bases its scoring model on credit reports from millions of consumers at one time. They gather these reports from 3 major credit bureaus, and they analyze the report's anonymous consumer data to generate an accurate scoring model. Both FICO and Vantage score will issue scores ranging from 300 to 850. Vantage score's numerical rankings now match FICO's, and once upon a time, they went as high as a 990. Now, this makes it easier for consumers and lenders to implement the Vantage score model, plus it's less confusing for consumers to check both their FICO score and their Vantage score. So the differences in scoring requirements. Let's say if you don't have a long credit history, Vantage score is a scoring model that you want to monitor. Before it's able to establish your credit score, FICO will require that you have at least 6 months of credit history and at least one account that's being reported to a credit reporting agency within the last 6 months. Vantage score, however, only requires 1 month of history and one account being reported within the past 2 years. Now, why paying on time is so important. A history of late payments will impact both your FICO score and also your Vantage score. Both models, however, will consider how recently the last late payment occurred, how many of your accounts have had late payments, how many payments you've missed on an account. However, while FICO treats all late payments the same, Vantage score judges them differently. It penalizes late mortgage payments more harshly than other types of credit. If you've had late payments on your credit cards, they will have about the same impact on both your FICO and your Vantage score. But if you've had late payments on your mortgage, you might find that you have a higher FICO score than Vantage score. Impact of inquiries. You've probably heard that you shouldn't open too many credit cards in a short period of time. One reason for this is every time you apply for a credit card, the lender does what's called a hard inquiry to check your credit worthiness. Vantage score and FICO both will penalize consumers who have multiple hard inquiries in a short period of time, and they do this by both doing what's called a deduplication. So let's say you have multiple lenders. Deduplication is important for things like auto loans, where your application may be sent to multiple lenders, thereby resulting in multiple inquiries, right? So what's going to happen is it's going to be counted as one inquiry. Both FICO and Vantage score don't count each of these inquiries separately. They deduplicate them or consider them one inquiry. Now the time span will differ from FICO to Vantage score. So FICO will give you a 45-day span to deduplicate your credit inquiries. So that gives you a little bit more time to shop for a mortgage loan or a car loan. Vantage Score, however, will limit its focus to only a 14-day range. Vantage Score also looks at multiple hard inquiries for all types of credit, including credit cards. FICO considers only mortgages, auto loans, and student loans. Inquiries aren't your biggest concern when it comes to your credit score, but they do have an impact. If you want to buy a house or a car, restrict hard inquiries as much as possible to avoid lowering your credit score. Low balance collection accounts and their impact. So, Vantage Score and FICO both have penalties for accounts that are sent to collection agencies. However, FICO might give you a bit more of a break when it comes to low amount collection accounts. FICO will ignore all collections where the original balance was under $100. It also doesn't count collections that have been paid off. Vantage Score, on the other hand, ignores only paid collection accounts, regardless of the original balance of that account. So to keep your credit scores high, the first thing you always want to do is avoid late payments. Of course, pay your bills and pay them on time. Keep your credit balances low. Don't max out your credit cards and try to keep your cumulative balance to less than 30%. The lower, the better. I often encourage my clients to pay their credit card bills in full, but leave maybe $5 or $10 on that account. So if you have a $5,000 credit limit and you spent $1,000, pay it down to $995 to $990 so that you keep your balances, credit utilization low. That is always the goal. I tested it out on even my own credit cards. I did a 30% balance just to see, and my score actually dropped slightly. So that's why I encourage people at 20% or less. But if you can pay it off, but just leave $5 or $10 and let it report at the end of the month, that 31st day. Let it go past that day. So let's say your payment is due on the 25th and you are making your payment on the 25th. Don't charge anything until after the 1st so that it can be counted, because a lot of creditors will report everyone at the last day of the month. So you want that payment to be counted, but to go through or roll over on that 31st day or 30th day. So don't use that credit card until after the 1st. Just so that payment you made is being counted. Also, apply for new credit only when you have to. Don't open a bunch of new credit cards in a short period of time, and don't close old accounts without good reason. So what creditors use to check your file? When you're purchasing a home, mortgage companies will use FICO. When you're purchasing a car, most banks will mostly use FICO. A lot of them are using Vantage Score now, but most are currently still using FICO. Now for loans, credit cards, etc., lenders can use either FICO or Vantage Score. Now monitoring accounts. If you want to access either your Vantage Score or your FICO score, you can go to www.creditladymonitor.com. Again, www.creditladymonitor.com. And yes, you have to put the www in front of that in order to get directed to that link. And again, this is going to allow you to access either or both. You can also go to creditlady.com for additional information. You can follow me on Twitter at creditlady888, Facebook at creditlady888, and Instagram at credit.lady or hashtag creditlady888. All right, I want to thank you so much for your time. And again, if you have any questions or you want to access these monitoring accounts so that you have the right one for yourself, go to creditladymonitor.com. And this is also where, if you're going through credit repair, you want to use either one of these platforms. So again, if you're looking to purchase a home and you want to know what your FICO scores are while you're in the credit repair process, get the FICO program. Or you can do the Vantage program and then switch to the FICO right before you're about to go and do a pre-qualification for a mortgage. FICO is a little bit higher. That way you should know. You should know that information because it's they just charge more. It just is what it is. But you can go with Vantage scores to start that process and then again transition over to FICO. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me or follow me on one of these platforms and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Have a blessed day.